In the previous video, we saw how we can use unit testing to test our normal .NET classes, that is our business objects as well as data access layer. Now, one of the important component of our project or of our application is user interfaces, and you can have different kind of user interfaces, like must be a ASP.NET application, or must be a Windows application, or a WPF application, or Silverlight application. So in this video we will see that how we can do testing for UI part of your project. The biggest problem with testing user interfaces is the complications involved with the UI technology. Now, every UI technology has its own way of doing things, and it is very difficult to replicate those infrastructure. In other words, for example, let's say that if you take ASP.NET application or the ASP.NET behind code, you need to ensure that you create the HTTP object, HTTP context object, you need to create the response object, the request object, the application objects, and then only probably you can go and invoke the button clicks of the ASP.NET UI. So the infrastructure of every user interface technology is very different. For example, if you go to WPF, then things are very different. There is a XAML file there, and the behind code is also a bit different. So it is very difficult to go and accommodate each of these user interface infrastructure and probably do testing on them. So the best way to test a UI is by doing a record and a play. In other words, you just go and record your test, and then you go and play your test and then do the assertions. So in order to test the user interface, what Microsoft has given to us is the coded UI test. By using the coded UI test, you can go and record your test steps, and then you can go and play your test steps later on whenever you want. So what we'll do now is let's pick up a very simple application. We can pick up the calculator application which comes with the Windows operating system, and let's try to go and record a simple test on our calculator application. So what we'll do is we'll go and record a simple test on the calculator application which comes with the Windows operating system. So probably what we can do is we can go and record a test wherein the user comes and he puts the first number, then he presses the addition sign, and then he presses the second number, and then he presses equal to. So let's go and do the simple recording using the coded UI test, and let's try to play these steps later on in an automated way. Now, the most important thing when you are doing coded UI test, or I'll say the record and play test, is the planning part. If you do not plan well, then definitely your coded UI test or your recordings what we have done can go completely waste when your user interface changes or when there is a change in the application. So what I will recommend everyone is that first do the planning part of it, and then afterwards start recording. So what do I mean by planning part of it? So let me go here and open my notepad, and let me first write down what I want to record, okay? Or I'll say let me write down the steps what I'm going to record when I run the calculator application. So step 1, I need to first invoke the calculator, right? Means I need to go and click on start run and run the calculator application. Step 2, we need to enter, I'll say enter first number, right? Step 3, enter operation, that is plus, subtraction, or addition, whatever it is, okay? Step 4, enter the second number. Step 5, press equal to sign so that we can see the results. Step 6, check the results are as per test case. So the first step, what I will advise in record and play is that go and basically put down the steps what you want to record, or put down the breakdown of the steps so that you can record in a logical manner. So now you can see that here we have 6 steps. The first thing is we are going to go and invoke the calculator. In other words, we will click on start run and probably type calc.exe. Second, I will go and enter the first number. Third, I will go and enter the operation. Fourth, I will go and enter the second number. After that, I'll press equal to. Now from step 1 to 5, right, it is nothing but you are actually going and running the test case. And step 6 at the end of the day is nothing but whatever results you see right on the calculator, you would like to go and check if that results matches your expectation. Now one question which you would probably put to me is, why did I write down the steps? Why don't we just go and record the whole thing in one go? Now if you record the whole action in one recording, and let's say tomorrow I want to change the operation of the recording, in other words I want to go and change step 3. For example, let's say that you recorded this whole action with a plus sign, and tomorrow I want to go and put the minus sign, or I want to go and put the multiplication sign. Then how do I go about it? So the best way would be to go and record each of these actions as logical steps, and whenever you want to go and change any individual step, you can go and re-record only that step. In other words, if I want to go and probably change the operation, I can just go and record this step. I don't have to go and record all the steps, right? So one of the important part which we need to understand is when we do the UI recording is, or the UI test recording is, that record in logical steps rather than recording the whole thing in one go. So let me go and save this file, so that go and save this file in my desktop here, saying calculator steps. Okay. Right. So now that we have done our planning, now it is time to go and record each of these steps individually. So let's go and open our Visual Studio. So let's click on Start, and let's start Visual Studio. And in Visual Studio we'll go and create a simple test project, and inside the test project we'll go and add the coded UI test, which will help us to do the record and play on user interface. So let me go and create a new test project. Always remember that either you want to create a unit test, or you want to create a load test, or you want to create a coded UI test, stored procedure testing, whatever it is, you have to create a test project. A test project is a collection of different kind of tests. So I'll just keep the name as it is, test project 3. Let me press OK. So there's a project created. Now let's go to the Solution Explorer, and you can see that by default, as we said previously also, that it creates a unit test. So let's go and delete this unit test file what we have here, because we are now interested more in a record and play test, or I'll say the coded UI test. And now let's right click on this project, and let's go and create a coded UI test. So you can see that I have now right click on the menu, and I'm going to go and click on the coded UI test menu. Now you can see that basically there is a nice dialog box here stating that do you want to record actions, or do you want to use the existing action recording? So currently we'll just select the first option. I'll talk about the second option when I talk about Microsoft Test Manager. So currently you can just safely exclude this second option, and let's click the first option, and let's press OK. Now the time you press OK, you can see that there's a small window which is popped up here at your down below your Windows system tray, and it has a couple of buttons here. One is you start recording, one is you can use assertions, or you can go and generate your code, right? So for now we are only concerned with this this button here, the red button, that is we only want to record for now. Okay, now before I start recording, let's go back again to our notepad where we had done some planning, right? So we had planned that we are going to record this complete test in 6 steps. So there are going to be 6 logical recordings. So the first step, or the first recording which we should be doing here now, is to invoke the calculator and basically ensure that the calculator is running, right? So in order to start the recording, what you need to do is you need to go and click on the start recording button here. So you can see that my mouse is now on the start recording button. Click on it, and then now start recording. So now my first step is I need to go and run the calculator application. So I'm going to go and click on start here. So you can see that I have clicked on the start button. Now the time I click on start button, right, it starts recording each of my actions. For example, I've clicked on start button, right, and I'm going to go and type calculator. Now you can see that the time I have typed calculator here, you can see at the right hand side on the system tray, it has recorded saying that you have typed calculator in the start search text box, right? And now the time I press enter, you can see that at the right hand side he has said that okay, the calculator.exe has been launched from the system tray, from the system root / system32, and the calc.exe been launched from the start run command prompt. Now this is our first step which you want to record, right? Now, so what I'll do is, because all my steps are recorded, I'm going to go and just pause the recording, right? And I would like to go and see that what kind of steps have been recorded for the first step. Now, in order to see the recordings, you can see at the right hand side there is a button here saying show recorded steps, right? So if you click on the show recorded steps, it actually says that now you can see there are some errors here. I'll not say errors, but at least some warning saying that some of the mouse actions were not recorded. So that's a bad sign, right? So what I'll do is, let me go and delete all these actions and let me re-record again, because I saw that the actions were not recorded properly. So I'm going to go and record this action again. So what I'll do is, I'm going to go and close this Calci program. Now I'm going to go and click on this resume recording again. Now I'll click on start. So you can see that the start button has been clicked, and my right hand side menu also shows that the start button is clicked. Let me type Calci. So you can see that he has also recorded the type Calci. I'm going to say enter, and he also recorded that this calci.exe is launched from the system root. So now let me again go pause here, and now let me see if my steps are recorded. So I can see that yes, now my recordings are proper. I don't see any kind of warnings or errors. It says that calci.exe will be launched from this folder, and I'm happy about it. So we have recorded our first step, that is this one, invoke the calculator, right? Now once you do the recording, right, the next thing is you have to go and generate the code for it. So you can see there's a third button on the same small window called as generate code. So let's click on this, and let's give a nice name here saying calculator, invoked calculator, I'll say, so that I can later relate that what these actions were. Invoked calculator, and I will say add and generate code. We'll go to the code later on. For now, we'll just first complete our recordings. Right, so there you can see that it has generated the code, and it has again come back to my recordings here. So now let's go back and see the second step. Our second step says that enter the first number. So now let's again go, press on this resume recording. Now let's go and click on the calculator screen, right, so that we can go and start recording the actions. So now you can see that the time I click on the calculator screen, right, you can see there's a small icon here saying that this area is now getting recorded. Can you see this icon here? I hope the zoom will help you to see that. So I'm going to click on this calculator, and I'm going to say, okay, let me first put the first number 1, and let me go again and pause, right? So let me see my steps here. Now you can see that because I clicked on the calculator title bar twice, it's showing me that this click has been done twice. So what I'll do is, for now I'll just go and delete one of those clicks, because I really do not want 2 clicks happening on the calculator title bar. So good. So that's our second step, enter the first number, right? So let's again go and generate code. Entered first number, add and generate code. Now let's go and see the third step, enter the operations. So now again press on recording, click on the calculator, and I'm going to press the plus sign, pause the recording, yes, generate code, entered, operation, add and generate, done. Third step, enter the second number, okay, start recording again, click on the calculator, let's say I press 6, and again pause it, ensure the actions are properly recorded, go to my generate code, say entered second number, add and generate. Now let me go to my fifth step, press equal to, right? So again resume recording, click on the calculator title bar, press equal to. Now you can see that 1 plus 6 is 7, so that's right. Again let me go and pause the recordings, that's right, equal to entered, generate code, pressed equal to, add and generate. Now let's go to the final step. We also need to check if the results are as per the test case or not. So in order to check the results, so till now what we have done is we have actually gone ahead and we recorded the first 5 recordings, right? So we have recorded the invoking of the calculator, We entered the first number, entered the operation, entered the second number, pressed equal to. Now finally, every test case needs to also check, if the test case has passed or not. So the first 5 steps, is just execution, and the last step is where, the checking happens. Now, in order to check, basically if the results are proper or not, right? In a coded UI test, you can see that there is one more button here saying assertions, this circle button, right? So click on that, move your assertion. Now don't leave your mouse, you have to keep pressing. You can see that I'm doing that, and so you can see that I started from here and I moved slowly towards the calculator program, and you can see now there's a red boundary seen here, sorry, blue boundary seen here, and this blue boundary, what it says is that you can go and check values from this section of the UI. So in other words, you can see that I can use other sections of the UI also to check the values, but at this moment those are not important. The actual data is over here. So I'll say yes. Whenever the test case passes or fails, I'm going to decide from the value which is displayed in this white area. So I leave the mouse there, and now what the coded UI test does is it actually goes and captures that area, gives a name to that area, and basically also gives you the property where the value is. So you can see that basically there's a text property here which he has captured. So I'm going to say here, yes, this test case passes when I add assertion when this value here is equal to 7, and I'll say generate code again, check test case, and add and generate. So we have recorded all the test steps from 1 to 5, and also we have recorded the 6th step where we are checking the results, right? Now every time we were recording and generating the code, right, at the back end what was happening is the coded UI test actually generated code for us. So let me now go to my Visual Studio here, and you can see that he has created a file here called as the coded UI test1.cs, and also he has created a file here called as UI map.ui.test, which has a behind code which also has a designer.cs. I'll not go into these files for now, but for now just go to the coded UI test1.cs, and you can see over here whatever actions we were recording, right, all those actions are now C# functions. So for example, when we recorded the invoked calculator, this is the function. When we entered the first number, this is the function. When we entered the operation, this is the plus sign. When we entered the second number, so you can see basically each of our recording are converted to functions on the behind code, right? So now what we'll do is we'll go and build this. Now let me go and close my coded UI test builder because my recording is almost done. Also let me go and stop this calculator here, and what I would like to now do is I would like to go and run this test case and see that if it really works or not, right? So in order to run the test case, again click on test, Windows, test view, and you can see that we have our test here called as the coded UI test method 1, which is nothing but this test. So let's go and run this test case. So I'm going to say right click, run. Now the time you click on run, the first thing is you have to go and leave your mouse, because after this what will happen is the coded UI test will take control of your Windows, and he will start running the calculator application. So let me just click on run and let me move my hand aside. Now you can see that the test case has started running. So the first thing is he has to go and invoke the calculator program, so that's done. Second, he has to type the first number, even that is done. Second number, and then finally he has to press equal to, and then he has to check if the data is proper or not. So you can see that basically it has passed the test case and it has ran our test case. So you saw basically that how we recorded our test case by using the coded UI test, and then how it actually went ahead and ran our test case, right? So the first thing for coded UI test is that you need to first go and plan. This is very essential. If you go and record all in one go, it's going to be very difficult later to go and change those recordings. Okay, so for example, now you can see over here, because I have recorded in a logical manner, each one of these recordings are what you call logical recording. So in other words, let's say that I want to go and change my operations, I can just go and comment this and record a new operation and invoke that operation over here. So your reusability of your test recording increases, if you record them in logical manner, or I'll say if you record them in smaller steps, that rather than recording them in one go. So the first thing what you need to do is you need to go and plan your testing. Okay, once you plan your testing, then you can go and start recording them logically, separately, step by step, and then finally you can go and run them. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. In this video, what we did is we were trying to understand that how we can use coded UI test, to do automation testing. Now in the coming two videos, we are going to go and talk something more advanced about the coded UI test, because currently what I've shown you is just a glimpse, I'll say it's a very basic thing where we went ahead and we recorded it. But in the coming video, what we'll do is, the first thing, we would like to first go and provide our own data as inputs. So currently, if you see, right, the data is hard coded. In other words, the 1 and the 6 value, right, the number 1 and number 2 values are hard coded. So probably we would like to go and change those values. So how do we do that? Second, what we would also like to do is that we would probably like to take these values from a database or from a CSV file. So in the coming videos, we will go more in depth into coded UI test, and we'll try to understand how we can customize coded UI test.